So you're welcome to today's class. First of all, thank you so much for choosing Synopsis of ICAN Academy, and I really hope that this class would help. So we're going to start with the PRESEEN analysis. So the essence of today's class is not to come and read the document for you. I believe that everybody, we are in professional level, right? So to a great extent, you would have been able to read and write. So my mission today is not to come here and read, but to show you how you can use the information that is provided. You understand? So I want you to please. Sorry for that. I want you to please take a pen, a paper, and jot down. And if you have printed out your analysis, like your PRESEEN document, perfect. Just ensure that you join me and you are here. All right. So now let me try to zoom this in so that you can see it clearly. Okay. All right. So just a moment. Okay. Yep. So I will check the chat box now just to confirm again if everyone can hear me. So please, before I start talking and then I'm talking to myself. No. So let me check the chat box again just to confirm that, okay, yes, everyone can hear me. Someone should please say something that, okay, yes, you can hear me, so that I can't hear you, okay? Okay, that was the newest message. Let's see. You can hear me. Oh, awesome, awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everybody. So let me go back to the document so that we can start. So please, like I said, this is a class. So try as much as possible to touch rights. And if you have any question after the class, I'll take questions. So we'll just calm down here for you. All right. So the first thing that we have today is you were told that they gave you information about you. But before then, they gave a breakdown of how the marks will be awarded. I did not add it to these documents because I didn't want it to be lengthy. However, I am going to show you is in the PRESEEN. They also added it, they always include it in the unseen as well. So I want to show you that first so that you can see how you are graded, because it's very, very important. Let's talk about that first. So they always add it to the information. So look at this now. So let's look at this now. So this is the way you will be graded. So you must take note of everything. So the first thing is what? Assimilating and using information, 20%. So every information that was provided for you in the PRESEEN and everyone that will be provided for you in the unseen as well is for you to use it. And that's my mission today. I'm going to show you how to use the information and to open your mind up so that you have an idea of what they may ask. Now, the second one is what? The second one is structuring problems and solutions. Structuring problems and solutions. That's 20% as well. So the way you structure your problems, the way you do your from cover page to executive summary, introduction, the way you put you interpret your reports, you do conclusion, you do recommendation, all those things is 20% of your grade. That's why I try as much as possible to emphasize it. So it's very, very important. Applying judgment. What's this one talking about? For instance, if you calculate MPV and you are saying that your MPV is negative, you know a negative MPV means the project is not viable. So in that case now, what will you say? Oh, company XYZ don't accept this project because it is what? It is not viable, something like that. So in that case now, you have applied judgment. Applying judgment in ratios, in MPV, whatever they ask you to do is 20%. Drawing conclusions and recommendations is also 20%. You understand? It's 20% as well. So everything, those four things sum up to 80%. Many people don't include conclusions and recommendations, but you have to. You have to. Conclusions and recommendations will come in your executive summary, It will come in the body of your report as well. Now, many students ask questions like, what if I have 3 requirements? How many conclusions and recommendations am I supposed to do? The answer is simple, 3. The number of recommendations and conclusions you give is basically the number that the amount of requirements you have. You understand? So don't say, oh, I want to merge. The examiner gave you one after the other. You cannot merge. You understand? Do it together. Then, demonstrating integrative and multidisciplinary skills is 10%. What is this one talking about? The skills that you have learned from multiple disciplines. Case study is the father of all other disciplines. So the skills that you learned from any other discipline, like now, for instance, your SFM, you learn investment appraisal, all these MPV, all the likes. From your SFM, you also learn merger and acquisition. From maybe your CR, your FR, you will learn how to analyze financial statements and the likes. So now bringing everything you have learned from those courses, that's 10% as well. So you see that all these things are important. Then presenting appropriate appendices that are appropriate. That's also what? That is also 10%. So this is the assessment areas that they're going to look at. So even if you have a very beautiful report and you don't do all these things, you to affect your scores. Then they also said that of the 20 marks, of the total marks available, that's the 100 marks, 20% is awarded for the executive summary and 10% for the relevant ethical issues within your answer to the requirements. So 20% of all these things is awarded for the executive summary. That shows that your executive summary is 20 marks. 20% is 20 over 100. 10% is given for ethical issues. So you ensure that what you address the 2 requirements in your report, and in this case now 2, because it's usually 2. If they give you 4, address the 4. Now, concerning the requirements, I want to quickly say something. So in case I forget, I will not, let me say it now before I forget. Last diet, they gave them 4 requirements. 2 were theoretical, 2 were calculation. Please, if they give you that kind of scenario again, please don't forget to do the calculation requirements. Make sure you do your calculation requirements. It's very, very important, because I don't want to say more than that. Just make sure you do your calculation requirements, and obviously do the remaining 2. I'm not saying you should not do the remaining 2, but those 2 calculations, if you see any information on financial statement analysis, financial data analysis, please do it before you even do any other theory or whatever. And they also said that failure to address any requirements, including not submitting an executive summary, would affect your chances of success. So you must do an executive summary. It is very, very important, because they even stated that if you don't do it, to affect your chances of success. In addition, as indicated above, the 4 skill areas will be assessed. That's all these areas will be assessed under each of the elements in your report. Accordingly, not demonstrating your judgment or failing to include appropriate conclusions or recommendations, they're saying it again, will affect your chances of success. So now, see that they've said 2 things now. 2 things that will affect your chances of success. Your executive summary, not putting it, and not putting conclusions and recommendations. So those things are important. So I just wanted to just let you know, so that when we are doing our analysis today, you would know where to focus on, because it's very, very important. All right. So let's go back to the beginning and start. Like I said, I'm not here to read to you. Everybody can do that in their leisure time. I'm here to show you how you can use the information that was provided for you to get the scores that you require. So the first information that was given to us in the PRESEEN was the list of exhibits. Now, a lot of people have been arguing, oh, it's internal reports, oh, it's external reports. So from here, you would be able to know if it is internal or external. First of all, they said what? The case study is on what? Folak Nigeria Motors Limited. That is what the case study is about. Folak Nigeria Motor Limited. You understand? So in this case now, you already know that they are telling you that focus on what? Focus on Folak. Focus on Folak. That's what they're saying here. Now, and it said what? Information about you. You are who? Sylvester Chukudi. And your employer is who? Bagudu Ademola and Co. Chartered Accountants. So now in this case now, you already know who you are. Any name that you have prior to this is not relevant. The name that you have is what the name you are going to use is the name that they are provided to you with. Sylvester Chukwudi. Now, many people ask, will I write Sylvester Chukwudi in anywhere in my report? No. Let me just clarify because it entails a lot. But today's class is not a class of, oh, let's teach the basics of case study. We're looking at the PRESEEN analysis. But just know, no. If you want to know more about that later, you can ask questions, but let's just continue. Sha, you are investor Sylvester Chukwudi, and your employer is Bagudu. Now, and then that's giving us what? The case study is on who? Folak Motors Nigeria Limited. So you are preparing the case for another company, not your company. Your company is Bagudu, Ademola, and Co. But you are preparing the report for who? Folak. So let me ask you, is that internal or external? Obviously, that's an external report because you are preparing the report for an external party. That is a party that is not your employer. So case settled on that. The second exhibit was the Nigerian economy. So they told us about the industry and they told us about the motor vehicles sales and distribution business. And they told us about the motor vehicles, motor repairs, service center, and spare part sales. And then the last exhibit was what? On audited, summarized financial statements. From this, you already know your professional skepticisms and your assumptions. Unaudited summarized financial statements is a financial statement that has not yet been reviewed by an independent party. What does that mean in summary? Now, first of all, the management will prepare their accounts. After preparing the management accounts, they will call an independent external auditor to come and review it to check, okay, is it credible? Is it reliable? Are there errors? Is it error-free, misstatement, blah, blah, blah. But in this case now, in Folak's case, they're telling us now that that independent person has not yet reviewed the statement. So the statement that they provided us with has not been assessed by an expert. That's just what it means. So that simply means that that report most likely would not be reliable. Now, what auditors do is that they add credibility to a report. When they check the report, it makes us to sort of like gives us extra confidence that, okay, yes, an external person that's checked this report. So this report most likely would be reliable. So now that's telling us that in terms of professional skepticisms and assumptions, we can say that this report would not be reliable. It might be accurate, yes, truly, let's not lie. But we'll see. We have not concluded on whether it's accurate or not, so just chill. But as for reliability, no. It's not a no until an external person comes, because a lot of creative accounting, a lot of manipulation can enter, and you guys will make it accurate. I mean, like, creative accounting is basically using loopholes in the accounting system to make your financial statement beautiful. So the fact that it's accurate does not even necessarily mean it's reliable. So until that person comes, we cannot say this report is reliable. But let's not put, is it the horse before the cat? Now let's take it one step at a time. I just wanted to just bring that to your knowledge. Now let's now look at the exhibit one about you, Sylvester Chukwudi, and your employer. So what are they saying now in this case now? They said that what? You are Sylvester Chukwudi, an accounting graduate writing the professional level of ICAN examination. So in this case now, you are what? They're telling you now that you are just writing the exam. You're not yet a professional, you understand? And you are employed as a trainee in the firm of Bagudu. And you are reporting directly to Dauda Bagudu, a partner in the firm. You understand? So what this is telling us, many people actually get confused by this pattern. I'm reporting to Dauda. Am I not supposed to be saying the report is prepared for Dauda? That's on your cover page. When you're writing to, it should be Dauda. No, that's not right. In this case, if you look at the study pack, you understand? I don't want to go too much into detail because that's not the the case we're actually dealing with today. But Dauda is just basically your boss giving you instructions. In this case, you are preparing an external report. So the report is not prepared for Dauda. The report is prepared for the client. You understand? It's prepared for the client. So just take note of that. Take note of that. All right. So now, did I told us about our responsibilities? From the responsibilities, we can probably have an insight on what they'll ask us. So we're going to be talking about that now. Your position requires a proactive approach to client services and technical competence in accounting, financial analysis, and business advisory. So now let's now look at the key responsibilities. The first one is what? They said what? Preparation of the financial analysis and reports. You understand? So now in this case now, they're telling us that what we're preparing the financial reports and financial analysis. You understand? So now, what are they now saying? Let's now read the information on what they're saying. They said that what you are tasked with preparing detailed financial analysis and reports regarding the performance of the firm's clients. In fact, this one is even telling you extra information that the report is for the clients, for the firm's clients. This involves gathering financial data. Please, I beg you, before, let me just say something. Please pay attention here because this is where your requirements will come from. So please, I know this is an online class. You may be cooking, you may be even watching TV, but please pay attention here. Please, it's very, very important because this is where your requirements will come. So now this involves gathering relevant financial data, performing rigorous analysis, and presenting findings in clear, structured reports to facilitate decision making. Now, what are they saying here? They're saying here now that they'll ask you to what? Prepare a detailed financial analysis for your client. So in this case now, though she can say, okay, help us to analyze this financial data, help us to analyze this financial statements. But you're basically what's going to do financial analysis. So prepare yourself for calculations. And they said here again that what? Performing rigorous analysis. Don't be scared. Don't worry. It'll be fine. So don't think that the rest of them are doing A plus B equals to C. No, they will task you with a lot. But don't worry. I know that God is going to make it simple. So don't worry about that. They're presenting findings in a clear structure report. You know, we read it earlier that we're talking about the structure of a report, and they're saying it here. That's what I'm saying, that cover page to appendix structure is very, very important. So it has to be clear and structured to facilitate decision making. And this is why I always tell students that the purpose of every case study exam is to what? Prepare a report for decision making. For decision making, you understand? So now let's go on. Analysis of financial statements. Your role includes analyzing the client's financial statements to identify areas of weaknesses. Upon identifying these anomalies, develop and recommend likely solutions to correct deficiencies and improve financial health. What are they saying in this case now? They'll ask you to analyze the financial statement of your client. So in this case now, prepare yourself for financial statement analysis. Prepare yourself for financial statement analysis because they're telling you that you would analyze a financial statement. So most likely your requirements, one, would be a requirement that covers probably ratios or trend. Now, hey, let me say this now. I'll say this later, but let me just drop it now. Many people have been arguing. Should we do trend? Should we do trend? Now, in most cases, the ideal situation is that for you to do trend analysis, you need at least 3 years. Because if you look at the formula, new minus old over old times 100, right? So in this case, now you need at least 3 years because now if you just do trend for 1 year, trend is saying that what just like you say, okay, what is the trend of activities or trend of inflation in Nigeria? Oh, you say, okay, 2025, you look at a couple of years to look at how it has been. So if you just have 2 years, it's not easy or it's not sufficient, that's the right word, for us to make any decision with just 1 year trend. You understand? Because we just have new year and old year over old year. That's all. We don't have another year. So if you have 2 years, if the examiner does not give you an additional year in the unseen, most likely it will be ratios, except if the examiner tells you that yes, we know 1 year will not be sufficient, but we want you to do it. You understand? So if the examiner specifies otherwise, then do it. But in most ideal situations, it's mostly ratios when you have to, except they give you an additional statement or they specifically tell you. So your instructions should guide you. So in this case now, after doing that, you would recommend solutions to them, try how to create, how to solve the analysis and everything, how to solve the weaknesses rather. So that's why interpretation is very, very important. Okay, now you have told us that gross margin declined. Okay, what should we now do? So you have to what, recommend, oh, gross margin declined because of this, that, therefore do this, that. And that's why they kept emphasizing that conclusions and recommendations, like, it's very, very important. So you have to do it. The second one is what? Assessment of business proposals. Assessing various operational and strategic business proposals, evaluating how each aligns with the client's objective. Additionally, consider the impact of these proposals on the client's business and financial risk to ensure recommendations are both practical and strategic. Now, what's this English that they are saying? So basically, what they're saying. So if you have any question, I actually just minimize the question tab. So we'll take questions. I'm here for you. We are here together until the exam hall. Until you get to the exam hall. Is your the door of the exam hall? I'm going to go back. So if you have any question, don't worry. There will be time for questions. Just write it down. I'll attend to it. But let's not get distracted. That's why I just minimize that tab. Okay. Now, in this case, now what does this mean? They'll give you operational or strategic business proposals. Times, oh, they'll tell you, oh, the company has a proposal. This is what they want to do. Help us to evaluate it. So you evaluate it, you will check it. Okay, how does this proposal affect the company's business, or this proposal in terms of financial risk? Is it going to affect them? Is it going to, so what is this telling you? Prepare your mind for financial data analysis. Prepare your mind for financial data analysis. I know somebody will be asking, but Chibi, they said strategic business proposals. Now, strategic business proposal, you just basically say a proposal that involves long-term business, like strategic analysis or strategic, let me not use the word strategic analysis so that it's not confuse you. Strategic management or strategic decision making, let me use that word. Yes, it's just saying decision making that will affect the company in the long term. So when they are saying strategic business proposals, what they're basically saying is a proposal that will affect the company in a long time. For instance, let's say the company wants to buy a machine. Obviously, they will not buy the machine today and dispose it tomorrow. No, now they will buy the machine today and probably use it for a couple of years before they probably the scrap value, the useful life ends, and all of that. So, but it would be in the company for a particular number of years. So that in that case, now what they're saying is that any proposal they will give you would probably be a proposal that will have a couple of years. Now, what's that telling you? That's telling you contribution analysis. That's telling you NPV, or probably even merger and acquisition. Yes, it's very possible. So anything financial data analysis, that is what that information is telling you. So get ready for that. So many people have been saying models. Oh, should we learn this model? Yes. See, at this point, I will not tell you not to learn anything. As much as you can learn, because ICAN, they're very unpredictable. They can decide to do it. The very recent diets that they tested models was May 2024 diet. And there was no hint, like no single hint in that particular case study PRESEEN about models, but they tested it. So yes, read it, but just ensure that you focus on the most important things. You understand, right? Now, evaluation of forecasts and assumptions. So you have to examine clients' financial business forecasts, scrutinizing the assumptions upon which they are based. This is to enable you form well-grounded judgments, draw season. I don't know if you have been noticing, they've been talking conclusion recommendations. So please draw reasoned conclusions and make relevant recommendations. Emphasis on relevant, though. So that in this case now, what are they telling you? They will give you financial and business forecasts. Forecast is just basically estimates, projections. So that's still telling you most likely NPV, contribution, you understand, something that will be future. So you understand, they're giving us a hint here. They're giving us a hint here. So they give us a forecast. Now, I got the question, and many people were asking, can they give us a forecast for 2025? You know, the financial statement is 2024 and 2025, and 2023 and 2024. Well, there's nothing that is impossible. They could give you a forecast, you understand, for 2025, because 2025 has not ended yet. However, but they could give you a forecast, you understand. So, well, let's see how that goes. So they will just give you forecast. So strategic tax planning advice. Strategic tax planning advice. So now in this case now, they are saying that what that you will provide advice on strategic planning. Now, first of all, let me say something here. Now, this particular information, they actually what they actually gave it in May 2025, but they did not what they did not test anything on tax. Like many people were going to read all the tax laws they have known. In fact, they have not even changed the tax laws as at then anyway. But then many people were going far, far, far to read, but they didn't ask anything like that. But I will still tell you the fact that they did not ask it then, does not mean they will not ask it now. Oh, you understand? So don't say that Modesela said no, please read it. But they could tell you, okay, probably, oh, this company, their deferred tax is this, their income tax is high. How can they maximize the new tax laws? So try as much as possible to read it. They could ask, it's very possible. And then they said what? Drafting analytical reports. So based on your operational and strategic business analysis, you would draft a report. You understand? You draft a report ensuring that findings and recommendations are clearly communicated and actionable. They are clearly communicated and actionable. So you're going to draft a report. I think that's all that we have for this particular place. All right, so let's move on to the next place. So I spent time explaining this part because it is very, very important. That is where your requirements will come out from. You understand? That's where your requirements will come out from. So if you don't actually deal with the major issue, then what's going to be, he's going to have to deal with it. So that's why I spent time here. So let's go on. All right, so now then they said what? To effectively, let me zoom this in so that you can see it well. They said what? To effectively fulfill these responsibilities, you are to keep abreast of developments in the accounting and taxation space. So in this case, we talked about taxation, so keep yourself abreast, as well as matters relating to business sustainability. Sustainability was the addition to the new syllabus, the added sustainability. So they could test anything relating to sustainability. They could talk about environmental issues. They could talk about issues about how the company's activity is affecting the environment, something like that. You understand? So just prepare yourself. Then he said was both at national and international scale, this commitment is to continue learning and everything. So that's basically what I just say. So that is basically where your requirements will come from. So I hope that explanation has given you an insight. Now, let's move on. Like I said, I'm here to show you how to use this information. So please stick with me. So Exhibit 2 talks about the Nigerian economy and the service sector. First of all, they said what? Nigerian economy is one of the largest and is driven by an array of sectors. That's what I'm just basically saying here is that the Nigerian economy is very large, and is large, one of the largest by GDP, gross domestic products. And the services sector, that's the sector we are dealing with, accounts for a significant share of the national output. So what I just basically saying here is that the services sector is contributing significantly to the GDP. So it's not just a sector that is how can I say it, that is small or that is not significant. It's actually very significant. You understand? Now they said that what the motor repairs business stands out as vital subsector supporting the country's extensive road transportation system. Now, how can you use this information? Let me highlight it. Supporting the country's extensive transportation system by ensuring, let's just even put transportation system, let's highlight this. How can you use this? So let's imagine that they say Folak wants to venture into a business that involves motor repairs. We talked about motor repairs. We're still going to get to that. I'm just trying to tell you, let's just calm down. Now, so in this case, now you can tell them, oh yes, Folak, go ahead with the motor repairs, because it is what? It is a vital, not only will you even bring, if the NPV, let's imagine that, okay, the NPV was positive and all of that, you can say, oh, not only is the NPV positive, but this business of motor repairs would also what? Support the country's transportation system. Like it's going to positively impact Nigeria. You understand? Something like that. So that's how you can use the information that, oh, yeah. They actually said motor repairs is a good business. It's going to do well for Nigeria. Oh, go into it. It's a good one. Now, let's go to the next one. The structure of the service sector. Now, they said that what? The sector has experienced growth over the past decade. According to Nigerian Bureau of Statistics, the sector contributes over 50% of the Nigerian GDP. In fact, they have even outpaced agriculture and oil. So it's contributing significantly, you understand? And then they said that there are some components. We have trade, transport, real estate, and the likes. All these are part of the service sector. Now, the motor repair subsector. Motor repairs are often grouped under trade and personal services. They represent a critical link in Nigerians' transportation value chain. As the company's urban centers expand, now pay attention here. As the company's urban centers expand and vehicle opportunity rises, the demand for reliable professional motor repair services has surged, creating opportunities for entrepreneurs and skilled technicians alike. Now, what's this telling you? How can you use this information? Again, if they tell you Folak is into motor repairs or wants to go into motor repairs, this is an information you can use to interpret your reports. Now, don't forget, before we started, I showed you that 20% of your grades are awarded for assimilating and using information. So the more you use this information, the more you gather those 20%. And that is my mission today. Not to come and read, but to show you how to gather those 20 marks. So in this case now, if they're telling you that Folak wants to go into motor repairs, tell them, oh yes, go into motor repairs because what? The demand for it has increased. So that means what? This shows that it's not as if they open shop and the only customers they will have is the oga and the apprentice. No, the possibility of high demand is high. You understand? Possibility of high demand is high. You understand? So in that case now, because what? The demand, people are actually demanding for repair services a lot. So that shows that it's like a viable business. Although there are other factors you consider, but at least considering the fact that there are human beings that will come and patronize us, hey, that's a good one, right? So that's something you can say, oh, that Falak should consider, you understand? Now, next thing, key features. Key features affecting the motor repairs. The following are key features affecting the motor repairs. So in the first one, they're saying that informal versus formal. So that they're saying that majority of the motor repairs operate within the informal sector. Now, some of them have small-scale workshops, roadside mechanics, family-run garages. Formal enterprises, these ones are branded service centers. They represent like a smaller growing segment, and they just want to cater for more for new vehicles and clients seeking high standard. So now, how does this information affect us? Now, there is a possibility that they can tell us that what Folak wants to go into motor repairs, quite all right, but they want to consider, they could tell us they want to consider informal or they want to consider formal. Now, informal means that they just want to open a roadside small workshop. Or maybe Folak say, we don't have money, or we don't have money right now, economy is not smiling. But we want to go into motor repairs because, oh, there's demand, the economy is good, the sector is viable, but we don't have money, so let's open a small workshop. On the other hand, they could also tell you that, oh, we have plenty money, or we're very, very rich. We want to open a branded service center. What does branded service center mean? Just like a shop that has beautiful that has a beautiful structure, that has AC, that has TV, that has all these, some of these workshops. So it could be any of that. So they could give you a requirement whereby they could tell you Folak wants to either do informal or Folak wants to set up a formal, and they'll tell you to assess it. But then formal is more of like newer vehicles and all of that. So that's a possibility. Now, the next thing they said was what? Skill and training. Now, they said that technical expertise is mostly acquired through informal apprenticeships rather than structured vocational education. So leading to variable service quality. So in this case now, they're saying that people that learn how to repair, do motor repairs, most of them is informal setting, that thing that they will say, oh, after secondary school, before you enter university, go and learn a trade, or after university, before NYSC, go and learn a trade, something like that. So most people don't actually, there's not like, oh, like a formal school of mechanics. It's mostly informal. And this has caused variety of services. So some people are good, some people are not good. That's the truth. Because there's no like standard. Like now, for instance, mathematics, everybody knows that mathematics is saying 1 plus 1 is equals to 2. Anywhere in the world, 1 plus 1 is equals to 2. That's like a standard setting. But for mechanics, this one will be good, this one will do rubbish. You understand? So that has caused service qualities, like the quality is not really good. So that's something you can advise for, like, if they say Folak wants to do motor repairs, you can say, okay, one thing that they should consider, one qualitative factor, apart from the money, are we going to make money? One thing they should also consider is what they should ensure that they get quality staff. They can actually do training for their staff. They can train their staff so that their staff will not be doing the wrong thing. You understand? So that's something you can say, oh, one qualitative factor that Folak should consider before going into this market is what they should consider training for their staff, or they should consider that they employ competent workers, something like that, because what technical expertise is mostly informal, and this causes service variety, something like that. You understand? And they said that what the services sector's increasing sophistication has begun to drive demand for higher standards. So many people are now trying to look for higher standards, and many people are now trying to look for higher standards. People now don't just want the mechanic by the roadside. No, they want the one that has AC, the one that has TV, the one that instead of paying 1K, you pay 15K. People are actually wanting that now. You understand? So if Product is saying they want to open a formal branded service, yes, there's a market for that. There's demand for that as well. They will make it. Now, access to infrastructures, the efficiency of this repairs business, depends on access to reliable electric power, good roads, and modern diagnostic equipment. So this is something you should also tell Folak, that Folak should consider that, Folak, oh, before you enter this market, consider the qualitative factor you should consider is good road, electricity. Maybe they should do solar, or they should try and look for a location where there is good road. At least that would help them. You understand? And then there's what some equipment that are now modern, that they are now using in repairs machine. You understand? There's some cars that when you go to the mechanic shop, they'll just plug in the equipment, and the equipment will show you what the problem of the car is. So that's something they can also consider. You understand? So these are things that you can use. So this is how you can use this information, because obviously I know that you must have read it. So I hope that you got something from here. So let's move on to the next one now. Good. All right. So now the next thing they said is what? Supply chain. Supply chain. So now they're saying that what? Access to spare parts and technical information is strongly influenced by trade regulations, imports policies, and logistic infrastructure within the sector. So now what they're saying now is that what? Access to spare parts. People don't have like a lot of access to spare parts and information. There's a lot of regulations, there's a lot of import duties, import policies, so many structures. And this is something you can tell Folak. This is something you can tell Folak. You can tell Folak that Folak, let's say they say that Folak wants to go into spare parts. You know, they mentioned there is what spare parts. So let's say they say Folak wants to go into spare parts. Folak, go into spare parts, no problem. But tell them that what they should consider the trade regulations, import policies, and any logistic infrastructure, because that's something that is very, very important. Now, they said that the next thing they said was economic impacts of the motor repairs within the sector. Economic impact. Let's now look at the economic impacts together. So now they said what the motor repairs business contributes meaningfully to what? To job creation, skills transfers, and local economic development. So this is also something again. I said that it even supports the road transport system, which moves over 70% of the goods and helps sustain productivity. So these are points. Obviously, it's not all the points you write now. You understand? It's not all the points you write. You pick one, you pick two. I'm just trying to show you points that you can write. So this is another point. If you don't like all those other ones we have spoken about, this is another point you can write that, okay, yes, motor repairs business, should they go into it? They should go into it, yes, because what? It's going to support job creation, it's going to support local development and all. But this is actually still similar to what we read earlier. Now, the economic merits of motor repair subsector now is the what? Employment. In this case now, motor repairs actually absorb so many, if I said thousands of apprentices, like a lot of people. Youths are now going there, formal jobs are going there. So if they are actually wanting to open a motor repair sector, that's a good thing, because they're going to help put food on the table of many people. Then entrepreneurship too. The low barriers to entry actually enables the proliferation of micro and small business. So in this case, what I just trying to say now is that because the barrier to entry is very, very slim, so a lot of business, a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of enterprises are entering into the sector. So it's easy for Folak if Folak wants to go into it. Then complementary service too. So successful motor businesses often evolve into broader service provider, including auto, electrics, car wash, sale of spare parts. Pay attention here, sale of spare parts and accessory installation. So now, in this case now, what they're saying now is that they can tell you, Falak wants to go into motor repairs. But now, we said earlier that we have informal and formal sectors, right? So if you have a question, please just type it in. I'll attend to questions when I'm done. So now, we said that they have formal and informal, right? So now, in this case now, they can say that Falak doesn't want to open a mechanic workshop, but rather they want to start auto electrics. You understand? They want to start doing auto electrics, or they want to start doing car wash. Very good example. So Folak wants to open a car wash business. That's something. You understand? Folak wants to start selling spare parts. You know, say sales of spare parts. Or Folak wants to start installing accessories for cars. You understand? No, there's some serene. When you see some cars on the road, they have some accessories. Maybe the light has one special effect, the tire has one special effect. So maybe that's what they want to go into. So motor repairs does not necessarily mean that they will now start repairing engine, repairing tire or something. No, they may just say that the motor repairs they may be saying could be something that it could be any of this. You understand? It could be any of this. So challenges facing the motor repairs business is everything that glitters is not gold. I've been saying beautiful, beautiful things, but they still have some problems. So what are the problems? So now, these are things that if Folak wants to start the motor repairs business, things that they should consider. So now, despite its importance, the motor repairs subsector faces challenges from the broader services environment and its own internal dam. Some it faces challenges from external and both internal environment as well. I know somebody would say, external internal environment. Let me quickly do it. SWOT analysis is coming out. Calm down, chill. They did not say SWOT analysis is coming out. They're just telling us the challenges that they are facing. So chill. You understand? With SWOT analysis come out, we don't know. Should I read it? Yes, read it. But do models only, emphasis, only if they ask it in the requirements. If it is not in the requirements, do not do it. Examiners have complained in the common pitfalls time and time again that people are doing SWOT analysis. So people just believe that if they don't do SWOT analysis, their case study question is not complete. Please do it only if they ask you. So now let's look at them. Infrastructure constraint. Now look at this now. There's like power supply issues. Many people are relying on generator. And what happened? This has increased operational costs. So now in this case now, these are things that you can also talk about. Oh, operational costs has the motor subsector now. Many people have actually it has affected many people because of operational costs. You understand? All these challenges have led to operational issues, operational costs, operational problems, even road issues. We have looked at all these things before. You understand? All these outdated, inadequate workshop facilities, outdated equipment, all these things have contributed towards the challenges that they are facing. So if Folak wants to enter, they should consider it. You understand? So now, regulatory and policy constraints. The absence of formal regulations for many informal motor repair services is now leading to what substandard services. We looked at something like this earlier. So there's inconsistent service and customer trust issues. So, we said that most of the people actually learn from informal apprenticeship work, and then there's no standard regulation in Nigeria that actually coordinates them. So many people are just doing whatever they want. You understand? And some customers are like, I don't trust this mechanic. Will he do my car well? You understand? And even where regulations exist, it's actually expensive and complex. So even when there's regulation, many people are not actually motivated to use the regulation or abide by the rules and regulation because of the complexity and expensiveness. Now, access to finance. Limited access to affordable finance actually restricts expansion. So now in this case now, if they're telling you that Folak wants to expand its operations, most likely they can give you a scenario that they'll say, Folak wants to expand its operations, but the company does not have enough money. Then the company has to borrow money. If they tell you the company wants to borrow money, yes, look at what they said here. Financial institutions actually prefer to lend to established business. So if they're telling you that Folak is not an established business, it does not have formal documentation, you can tell you that Folak, this business that you're saying you'll be financed by loan, are you sure? So they're saying that, the business is, the Folak wants to expand, and the business expansion is worth 20 million naira. And Folak intends to use loan to finance the business. So you can raise it that a factor that Folak should consider is the limited access to loan or limited access to finance. Because what financial institutions often prefer lending to establish business with formal documentation. Therefore, Folak should ensure it has the appropriate formal documentation so that it can access the loan. Something like that. I'm just trying to create a picture. So that's how you can use this information in case. Reliance on informal training limits what there's technical skill gaps. You understand? So now in this case now, because of the limited structure, limited vocation, limited training, limited certification, like there's a lot of skill gaps, and this has actually affected professionalism of people in the sector. Then supply chain and spare parts quality. Motor repairs business are frequently affected by counterfeits or substandard spare parts, which undermine quality and vehicle safety. Trade policies affecting the importation of genuine spare parts can also affect the importation, can also disrupt supply chain rather. So now, how does this information affect us? How can we use this information? So let's say they tell us that Folak wants to start selling spare parts. One thing you must raise to them is that what? Folak, make sure you take note of counterfeits and substandard spare parts. Like, try to do testing, try to do quality control, try to do quality assurance, try to ensure that you go to what's what I call it now, a reliable supplier or a reliable manufacturer, because there are a lot of counterfeit and substandard materials. And they should also ensure that they take note of the trade policies, because even trade policies, even if when you will find the correct person that will give you genuine, collecting it and importing it from the place, there are so many trade policies in Nigeria that can affect that supply flow, supply chain. Supply chain moves from the manufacturer to the wholesaler to the to the consumer. So all those policies can actually affect. So these are things that you should consider. So if they give you a question relating to spare parts, this is what you can use. All right, so now let's move on to the next place. Let me zoom this out so that we can see. All right. All right, so I hope you are all with me, and I hope you can hear me. I'll take questions. Like I said, I'll take questions later. Let's just focus on the important thing. So I'm taking my time now to explain this thing, because 20% of your grades are going to be centered here. So please pay attention. Next thing they said was what? Digitalization and technology adoption. So now in this case, now what they're saying now is that what? people are in the service sector. A lot of people are now doing so many technological advancements. Like people are now doing digital diagnostic tools, online marketing, management software, and all of that for modern clientele. So in this case now, online marketing platforms. For instance, you have the likes of Gigi. On Gigi now, the comfort of my house, I don't need to start standing or going from one shop. I want to buy a car now. I don't need to start going from one auto shop to another, or automat to another. From the comfort of my home, I'll just click on Gigi. Oh, I want to buy limousine. I want to buy Lamborghini. And Gigi will give me the possible Lamborghinis, and I'll pay for my Lamborghini, and it will be delivered right into my compound. You understand? So a lot of people are now doing so many digital and technology advancements. So that's something that you can also advise. You can advise Folak, yes, Folak. You can advise Folak that Folak, people should try and keep up with the digital trends. So try to adopt digitalization in your operation. That's the new business now. That's the new trend in the market now. So that's something you can say. Then opportunities too for growth and transformation. So now in this case, they're saying that even though there are so many challenges, there are still opportunities. Like now, vocational training and certification. So if they actually train this staff. No, they were talking about training and informal apprenticeship. So in this case now, if they can train people, it would improve service standards, foster innovation, and enhance customer confidence. And then if they can partner with governments, private sectors, and international organizations, they can partner with them to deliver targeted training programs. And you understand, targeted training programs. And these programs can improve the availability of trained technicians in the subsector. So, and this is also something you can advise Folak. So, if Folak is going into the motor repairs business, you can tell him that Folak will try to include staff training in your maybe your costs or your operations, because what improve service standard, foster innovation, and enhance customer confidence. And if customers are confident in the products that Folak is providing, obviously it's going to what they're going to make sales, because if everybody's saying that motor repairs business is the best, that one is the best, everybody will be going there. You understand? So that's something you can advise Folak. Now, access to finance. Tailored financial products for small businesses, such as microloans and equipment leasing, can help entrepreneurs invest in modern tools. So, in this case, now they're saying that they have some products, some financial products. They're like loans, equipment leasing. They are things that they can help them to upgrade their workshop or staff development. So in this case now, if they can make these financial products as accessible, we're talking about opportunities now. You understand? There are several ways of enhancing the performance. So if a lot of people can actually have access to these financial products, it will actually improve the sector as a whole. Then infrastructure upgrades too. In this case, they're talking about the physical infrastructure, power, logistics will have positive effects on the business. So you understand, and enhance customer satisfaction. So that's something you can also tell Folak that, okay, Folak, these are the things you should consider. If you want to set up a repairs business, try to consider a place that has good power, a place that has good roads, a place that logistics to be easy, because now that can directly and positively impact your business in that case. Do you understand? And also what leads to what customer satisfaction. Customer satisfaction equals to higher demand. Higher demand equals to higher sales. You understand? And better reputation for Folak. The regulatory reforms. They were talking about so many regulations, but they said where regulations even exist, there's a lot of complexity, and then it's expensive. So they should try as much as possible to streamline regulation and compliance process. And they should encourage self-regulation. They should try and do industry association. They should try and raise standards. They should try and just basically improve the reforms and regulatory systems. Then digitalization too. This one, they talked about it earlier too. So they can adopt digital tools for inventory management, customer engagement. They can do e-commerce platforms. So this is something you can advise Folak. So if they are saying that Folak wants to go into sale of spare parts, so this is something you can tell Folak that, okay, yes, Folak, you are going into the sale of spare parts. Good. but also consider e-commerce platforms. Like I used, like the example I said, Gigi. You understand? Like now, for instance, house hunting has become easy. You have the likes of Nigerian Property Center, so many platforms all over the internet. You get your house. You understand? So they should try as much as possible to consider e-commerce because to help them towards is to improve their business. Then quality assurance too. Collaboration with reputable suppliers and distributors. And they said what? And the enforcement of standards for spare parts can combat counterfeiting and ensure safety. So if they are telling you that Folak wants to start selling spare parts, this is something you can say. Now, I'm giving you insights. Like I said, you will not say everything. No, no, now. How many hours are they going to give you? You will not say everything. No, you pick the ones that, oh, I can pick one, I can pick two, I can pick three, just to prepare your reports. Don't forget, 20% of your marks are given for what? They are awarded for assimilating and using information. So this is very important, please. So if you are seeing that Folak wants to go into spare parts, you can tell them that, Folak, please, I beg you, try to collaborate with reputable suppliers and distributors because what this will help you combat counterfeiting and ensure safety. Counterfeiting just simply means fake products, like the one that will look real but it's not real, like the iPhone 17 Pro. What do you even call it now? That people are saying is fake. It's not. It's iPhone X. I don't even know the gist that they're actually saying. So that's like fake. They are trying to replicate the real. You understand? So there are a lot of some things like that are actually common in the spare parts industry. So that's something that if they are eventually planning to dive into or expand into the spare parts factory business, those are things that you should consider. And a good way to deal with that counterfeiting issue is what? Collaborating with reputable suppliers and distributors. Their local production too. They say that what? The volume of cars sold in Nigeria and the demand for high quality workshop is an indication that there's capacity for parts production and certification. So that in this case, now they're saying that what? So many cars are sold in Nigeria. And then people are actually demanding for high quality service, people are demanding for repair. So if people start producing locally, then there's tendency that they'll thrive. So if they're telling you now that Folak wants to start producing cars locally, I think if I'm not mistaken, I think we have the likes of Innocent Motors. I should even check this thing out. And some other car companies in Nigeria that the cars are actually locally produced, like they're produced in Nigeria. So that in that case now, they can tell you that Folak wants to start doing that. They want to start producing in Nigeria. Probably they want to start producing spare parts or they want to start producing cars in Nigeria. That's a possibility. So that in that case now, you have to tell Folak that what? Folak, oh, try as much as possible to what? To do it. Because our Folak can do it because what? There's a market for it. There's opportunity for it. Then it set the role of government as stakeholders as well. Like how each of these people actually shapes and form the future of the repairs industry. They said, oh, for policy now, if we have clear policies, it can actually lead to growth. So that's policy formulation. If the government can actually formulate good policies that would impact the economy and the sector, that would actually make everything to be fine. They also talked about public and private partnerships too, like joint initiative. The government sector should come together with the to come to collaborate with the private sector. In this case now, they can try to look for how they can improve the infrastructures. They can try to look for how they can improve the training and encourage best practices. Then they said industry associations too. All these industry associations, they can say, okay, well, let us try to build our skills. Let us try to improve our services. So all these things together, all these collaborations rather, can help towards strengthen the sector as a whole. Then the services sector is an insignificant part too. They said this is just like a summary of everything they have been saying. It provides employment, fosters innovation, supports social mobility, and then the repairs business is both a beneficiary and contributor to the dynamic environment. So it's like a business that is a win-win on many levels. Then strategic investments in education, infrastructure, finance, and digitalization, combined with regulatory reforms, can help motor service business thrive. So if we can have all this now, if we can have people that are well trained, we can have good roads, good power supply, we can have easy access to finance, and then digitalization. We don't have to be going from under the sun looking for a motor repair company. No, if you can, at the comfort of our home, we can get the mechanics that we can call, and then maybe there's one app that will just get a mechanic that can come and help us fix our car wherever we are. You understand? That will make the motor repairs business thrive. That will make it thrive, and the financial success will sustain the nation's mobility, drive its economic productivity, and empower the aspirations of its people. You understand? So that's about the motto. That's about the Nigerian economy and all that. So now let's now look at the analysis of the motor vehicle and distribution business, 2022 to 2025. So now in this case now, we are still in 2025. So more like they're telling you the analysis from the past and the forecasts. So 2025, they're saying that, oh, what they forecast for 2025, although 2025 is almost over anyway, but the forecast basically. So now let's now look at this. The motor vehicle sales and distribution is a critical portion of the economy. As one of the continent's most populous nations, Nigerian automotive industry reflect a broader economic infrastructure and regulatory trends that shape its commercial landscape. So what are they saying? What is all this big English? What they're just saying basically is that what the motor vehicle and distribution sector is very, very critical. It's very important. In fact, they have told us before that the service subsector, like the service sector as a whole, is critical to the economy of Nigeria. They're not saying that brilliant now come and say, okay, within the service sector, let's now look at the motor vehicle sales and distribution aspect. So they're saying that in this case now, that aspect is very critical. You understand? Like this, there, in fact, the fact that we have so many people, there's like the nation is populous, you understand? We have like a lot of population that has actually even contributed to the success of the economy, of that sector rather. That since 2022, there has been like so many shifts, economic headwinds, consumer preferences, so many things have changed since 2022. And that is why they actually want to analyze, okay, since we have said that so many things have changed since 2022, let us now analyze what has been happening since that 2022 down to 2025. So now let's now look at that one after the other. They said that what Nigeria's automotive sector is import driven. That's many of the cars that we have now is like mostly imported. And many vehicles, both new and used, are sourced from Asia, Europe, and North America. Despite efforts to foster local assembly, the market remains reliant on imports due to cost advantages, limited manufacturing, and consumer demand for affordable vehicles. So remember that I said that they can give a question whereby they will tell you that Folak wants to start doing, Folak wants to start producing locally. You understand? In this case, then they can tell you that these are the costs, these are the benefits, these are the outflow, inflow projections, all of that. You can tell Folak that Folak, oh, fine, you want to start producing locally, no problem, oh, but you have to consider cost advantages, you have to consider limited manufacturing capacity, and the fact that demand, people want cars that are affordable. The funny part is that cars that are imported, from what they're telling us here now, is that cars that are imported are cheaper. Like how Nigeria is, God will only help us. Cars that are imported are cheaper. So most people are going for cars that are imported rather than going for cars that are locally produced, because they know that those ones will be more expensive. So if Falak wants to go into that kind of business, these are considerations that they have to put on their table and trash out. You understand? So now, size and growth. Since 2022, the market has experienced both moderate growth and volatility. Now, look, pay attention here. In 2022, total annual vehicle sales made up of both new and used were estimated around 280,000 units. The market was dominated by what? Used vehicles. Just pay attention. We are coming, you are getting somewhere. Constituting more than 80% of sales. The new vehicle segment severely impacted by scarcity of foreign exchange and high import duties accounted for 10 to 15% of sales. Now, what is this saying? This is saying that what? Number one, there is what? There is viability, or let me say there is hope, or the market of selling cars, or let me just say this vehicles sales and distribution market is profitable. Because if they're saying that in just 1 year, over 280, or let us say around 280,000 cars were sold. That's a good market. But guess what? Used vehicles were like dominated, like many of that, 80% of that sales was from used vehicles. And just 10 to 15% was from new vehicles. So now they could give you a situation whereby they say, okay, Folak wants to maybe deal in new vehicles or deal in old vehicles, used vehicles now. This is something you can say. You can say, okay, yes, go for new vehicles because there's market for it. 80% of the sales in 2002, over 80% of the sales were for used cars. That means many people are actually wanting to buy used cars, something like that. You are thinking that, but you see these new cars that you want to go to. Well, there are a lot of foreign exchange, high import duties that you have to consider, because what? This can affect your sales. So these are two things that you can look at. So they can give you a situation like that. So just try as much as possible to look at it. Now, they said that by 2023, a slight uptick in economic activities and infrastructure spurred a minor rebound. So there was a rebound, they relapsed, they went back. Nonetheless, the industry faced challenges, and such as persistent inflation, a depreciating naira, increasing cost of finance for consumers, and business. So we've been talking about projects, financial data analysis. Let's even look at financial statement analysis. These are things that you could also use. You understand? So now, if they're telling you now that let's go back to this now. I don't want to say it yet, but let me just mention it because I want to explain something. I wanted us to take it as the game was more. Folak is into new and used vehicles. We'll look at that later. I didn't want to say it yet because I wanted us to take it progressively, but let's just say it now so that you understand what I'm saying. So Folak is into new and used vehicles, right? So now, in this case now, if you are seeing that revenue decline, or let's say cost was high, you can say, oh, cost was high because of what? The persistent inflation. So you can say, oh, maybe you calculated profitability ratios, and you are seeing that the profitability was not good. Maybe profitability position was declining, so it was not very okay. You can say, okay, the decline in the profitability position of Folak was as a result of persistent inflation, because obviously if there's inflation will increase the cost, and if cost is high, it will affect no matter how little, it will definitely affect the profits. So you can say the decline in profitability was a result of persistent inflation and depreciating naira, because now they say that most of the goods were imported. So if the value of naira is depreciating, today we went to the market, they say bring 500 naira to collect our products, 500 naira to $1. Tomorrow we went 700. Cost is increasing now. You understand? So depreciating naira can affect their profitability. If we got increase in cost of finance, for instance, we are seeing that the interest expense is increasing. Obviously, so these are things I can use. So don't just say, it's only projects. You can also use these things for your financial statement analysis as well. So by 2024 and into 2025, the market's trajectory remained uncertain, but demonstrated resilience with projections. Let's go on. Which projections? Let's look at the second one. estimating the total annual sales. Let me zoom it so that I can see it properly. Oh, okay, that's much. Okay. Yeah, we're good to go. Estimating the total annual sales growing to around 320,000 units by the end of 2025. You know, they said that it was 280. But now, in fact, there is even projection that it will even grow higher than that. So if Folak is into is selling new and used vehicles, or probably don't want to do anything relating to new and used vehicles, yes, they can go on and do it. Because what? There is a projection of even higher sales. So if there's a projection of higher sales, then that shows that they will benefit from it. So those are things that you can say to advise Polak. You understand? So that they gave us segments. So that in this case now we have used vehicles, that's Tokumbo. And then Tokumbo vehicles make up the largest segment. So they actually said it that over 80% of the sales in 2022 was used. So this is also telling us now that the used vehicles actually like is making like many people are actually going for Tokumbo cars. So if Folak wants to deal with anything relating to Tokumbo cars, in fact, 100% they should do it because what is making up the largest segment. So you can say, oh, in addition, it is recommended that Folak goes or expands into anything relating to used vehicles because what this is the largest segment. It makes up the largest segment in the motor sales and distribution sector. Therefore, there is a high chance of success. You understand? So it's imported mainly from USA, Europe, Asia, and the cars are distributed through a network of dealers. So now in this case, now what they're saying now is that they bring in the cars from these countries, and then what they distribute it, they have dealers, independent resellers, automats, and they're concentrated in places like Lagos, Abuja, and Port Harcourt. Now, like I said, I just mentioned it because I just wanted us to just look at it. Now, they didn't tell us much about Folak. We'll look at that shortly. But then they're saying that many of these sellers are concentrated rather in Lagos, Abuja, and Port Harcourt. That shows that most likely Folak will be operating in one of these places, but they didn't tell us. So let's not assume anything. Let's not assume anything. And let's say paraventure, they tell us that Folak wants to open a vehicle, something relating to vehicle, open a branch or something like that, expand to a place, and then they say they want to expand to Lagos, Abuja, or Port Harcourt. Yes, those are good locations that they can expand to because what that's like the main site for all these people. So it's a good location. So now new vehicles with international brands such as all these companies, a new vehicle segment is mainly served through authorized dealership. So now how does this information affect us? And what are the possibilities that we can see? So they can tell you that Folak wants to set up a dealership, an authorized dealership with Toyota or with Mercedes-Benz or with Kia or with Honda to start selling new spare parts, to start selling new cars, to start repairing new cars, something like that. So they could tell you that they want to what? They want to start an authorized dealership with one of these manufacturers or international brands. But then they said something on high prices and limited access to finance confine their customer base to governments, corporates, and small affluent consumer class. What are they saying here? That for these new cars, because it is usually expensive, the only people that can afford it are government agencies, corporate bodies, that's like businesses, and small affluent consumer class, like people that have money, all those people that have money, but they would all be wearing shirts and jeans. But inside his account is billions. All those small affluent class of people. So those are the only people that can afford new vehicles. So that's something that Folak should consider. So if they are telling us now that Folak wants to dive into something relating to new vehicles, it could be maybe sale of spare parts for new vehicles, or motor repairs for new vehicles, you can tell them that no problem, oh, if you assess the financial projection, okay, it is profitable, go. But consider the fact that the only people that can visit you or come and patronize you is the rich people. So this can affect your sales because how many people will come? How many cars? Well, come and see this, they are buying car. Let's not say how many people. But at least it cannot be like everybody can afford it. Everybody can come. You understand? So it's like limited. It's limiting them, kind of. You understand? So that's something you can see. Then local assembly. So despite policy initiatives, local assembled vehicles still account for a minor fraction of sales. So out of that 280 and 320,000 units that they are projecting, for the local assembly, that's those that are produced locally, those that are produced in Nigeria, that is just very, like, it's just few, like, not, they're not many. And this is because of limited production capacity and high input costs. So that this is telling me that the chances of Folak wanting to start local production might be slim, because if they are saying now that very few people are in that space, and even those that are there, they're encountering challenges. Yes, even for everywhere, used, new, everywhere, imported cars, they are even encountering challenges themselves. How much more the local people that are actually encountering like their challenges own, like, in fact, you will leave your own and pray for themselves. So in that case, now that shows that the chances of Folak going to join them is slim, if you ask me, because there is already a problem there. So why are you choking your neck? And if they say, no, that's the one that wants to choke our neck inside, you tell them that no problem. Go there, oh, but the sale might not be that high because what, many people are not going there. And apart from that, apart from the fact that